So the crash was really kind of, it would be, I would say he'd be very quiet. He is a very gentle and quiet person by nature, but I'm talking about a very deep quiet, where I knew he was disturbed on the inside, but maybe he couldn't himself articulate why that was so. He was going through this peculiar thing where part of it had to do with the fact that that particular couple of years was a crazy number of years of, we were doing that one project together, then we did the animal communicator film while he was also working on a film on crocodiles with Damon, and suddenly within the space of, I think, those 2 to 3 years after I met him, really between 2006 and 2010, he ended up making like 4 films or something like that, and I think that took a lot out of him. I think I still remember him coming back saying that he'd seen this young, very young octopus, incredible young octopus, shy, not coming out and not interacting and all of it, but at the same time, he felt a certain energy or a connection with her, and he was saying how he had to figure out if he could find her again, and would he find her again, and how was he going to do that and all of it, and we talk about all of that. This was, of course, way before there was any idea even that it would become a movie, or that he would look at it in a big way, because I mean, how are you to know in your first initial meetings that this would be an animal that would actually stay with you for the amount of time that she did? So that for something just changed. Something completely changed in the way I think Craig related to the ocean after that, because I think there is a barrier, whether we like it or not. It's in any world, in any wilderness. Of course, we're part of it, so that barrier is definitely going to give way for us. But I think each of us find it's like a magic wall, and I think the test to break through it is to find something that resonates with you. Your energy and that wall's energy has to resonate, and then you make a breakthrough. That first contact, as I call it. And when I say contact, I'm not necessarily saying the animal reaches out and grabs you, or you have to reach out and grab the animal, but some kind of resonance between you where there's an energy exchange, where on a deep level you recognize each other. And I think that breakthrough changed. And I think for Craig, definitely that resonance, that breakthrough came with that moment with her as a young octopus, when she, I think, a little bit came out of her comfort zone into his space, which shows a tremendous trust in the wild, so yeah. But when you spend time in an environment and you've dedicated to that environment, and you've put your mind, your heart, your energy into that environment, and then there is a moment of, as I said, that resonance where it's not you. You have not gone chasing an animal and then grabbed it by its tail. It has, because you've put that kind of time and energy and effort into it, and therefore you are now part of that environment as much as that animal is. It then leaves its comfort space and comes into your space saying, hey, I recognize you as something that's part of this environment, and I just want to say hello. And that is a completely different contact. And it could be any animal, it could be it could be a shark, it could be an octopus, it could be a cheetah, it could even be your pet dog or cat. But there is that moment when you almost look into its eyes, and you and it are the same. There's actually no separation, and you kind of, there's almost like a recognition at a very deep bone and blood level of that intimate connection, which is not just with that animal. In that moment, you feel that connection with literally the entire living planet. And I think that's the contact I'm talking about. And you can't just get that unless you're putting in that time and effort and being open to being in those spaces. So in that sense, if in a situation like that, somebody who dives every day of his life has a phenomenal encounter with an animal, it could be a whale, it could be a dolphin, it could be an eel, it could be an octopus, that is a beautiful thing. Because let's face it, wild animals, they are faster than us in the water. They're far more canny. If they wanted to hide, they're going to hide. They're not going to come out and display themselves and even allow you anywhere close to them unless they were actually allowing it. I was actually jealous, not of Craig and the octopus. I was jealous that I can't do that with an animal in the water. So I'm more jealous of the experience. Um, Personally, I could, maybe because I do what I do, maybe if I was a completely different stream of career or work and I was, I don't know, a banker, a lawyer, whatever, then maybe I'd find this all very weird and esoteric and, simply because it wouldn't be my world and I wouldn't understand it. But because I do what I do and I enjoy my time in nature and I enjoy my work and I just, at the drop of a hat, I would more than happily go off into an Indian jungle and do what I do. So I think that part of it I totally understood, that what the draw could be. So I'm jealous that I am not as comfortable in the water as Craig, and I am jealous that he has these extraordinary experiences with some of the most extraordinary wildlife on this planet, and it's just there, it's just there. When I first came to Africa and I met Craig, he was definitely a lot more restless, a little bit more impatient. He had quite a detached approach to landscape and nature. So it was more about habitat, it was the habitat that was important to him, like to a point where he wouldn't really appreciate having a pet dog or a pet cat because, what if they damaged the little bird that came into the garden or ate like a mole, or, because that was damaging to nature. And so I can't say that, or at least at the time, while he had, of course, a fine sensibility when it came to animals and stuff like that, I would not say that it was a more kind of deep emotional love or attachment. It was the habitat that excited him, so it was wilderness, it was the forest, it was the mountain, it was the ocean, in that sense of it being a total habitat that excited him. And I think definitely in 8 years now, he sees it's still the habitat, no question, because everything exists thanks to the habitat. But I think he now sees the habitat as made up of all these extraordinary, wonderful little beings whom he has personal relationships with. And I think because of that personal relationship and that personal commitment and that emotional involvement, I personally think it's made him a far better, how would I say, expert in a way, or more passionate about learning more or getting in there or understanding better or expanding his knowledge. And because there's now a real commitment, there's a stake there. This is like if you love somebody, you do anything and you look at any solution to try and keep them alive and healthy and happy and all of that. And I think that bond has definitely happened because of this everyday thing that he's done in this environment. I think definitely. I think when a creature that is phenomenally sentient, phenomenally capable in its own environment, phenomenally adept at being octopus in a way that no human is adept at being human, when a creature like that is still vulnerable to you simply because of all of that, what you're capable of, uh, crosses a certain line and lets you into that incredible secret world. If that doesn't humble you, and if that does not crack every notion that you have in your head about any kind of human superiority or human intelligence or human ability to love or any of that, if it doesn't crack that to the foundation, I don't really know what to say, like what could, right? I mean, I don't know what would help you find your true potential or immerse yourself into a situation. If that extraordinary being, couldn't do that for you, then yeah,